knowing on the business side as a producer, songwriter, your number one asset is going to be the publishing.
Yeah.
As an artist, your number one asset is going to be your masters, right? And just hearing him kind of tell me stories about, did you know I own this song? The quote, and the funny thing, because we always talk about the Beatles, like Michael owned half a Sony ATV.
Yes.
Michael owned Going with the Wind. Did you know that?
I did not know that. But like his collection of things is wild. Like his collection of things is
hold on. He owned Little Richard's catalog and gave it back to him.
I said thank you.
That's beautiful.
Because Little Richard was struggling with finances.
It's the Almanac of Rap show. I got opinions and they all factual. No news, just information that you won't be able to use unless you're at a dinner party trying to impress who's in attendance with endless tidbits of nonsense. We're gonna have a good time, I promise. YouTube rabbit holes, Reddit deep dives, pulling out old interviews from the archives. Styles, fads, trends, all of that. It's the Almanac of Rap.
Welcome to the Almanac of Rap, the show that still wishes it knew how to sing. I'm your host, Donwill, and today's episode is all about lessons from the legends, or legendary advice, if you will. Our guest, none other than Rodney Jerkins. Rodney is a Grammy Award-winning producer and songwriter who's worked with more than his fair share of legends. We'll get into that in a second, but first, I gotta kick the ballistics. If someone says Micheal Jackson, you probably don't think about hip-hop, which is fair, because he's definitely not a rapper. But one thing that a lot of people don't know is that Micheal was a huge hip-hop fan. Mike is from Gary, Indiana, the same city that made Freddie Gibbs. And it's right outside of Chicago, the same city that gave us Chief Keef. So that gang was all up in it. Just kidding. Believe it or not, he was very tapped into the culture. How tapped in, you ask? Well, Mike has literally rapped on a couple of his own tracks, like the song Money from the album History, Past, Present, Future, Book 1. Or the song Shout, which is a B-side and not available online for streaming. He also sang the hook on an Ice Cube and Shaq collaboration called We Be Ballin'. I'd be amazed if we can play any of these songs, but in case we don't, just use your imagination. He's also said several times that his songwriting process involves beatboxing, which is all but a dead art form these days if you ask me. But here he is talking to Diane Sawyer about that technique. https://
Listen. Hit it. What you're hearing is not an electric drum machine. It's a hardwired, 48-track, digitally mastered human.
What I mean, so I'll take that and use that as the main foundation for the track and build all the sounds around that. What I'm saying?
You know who else is a huge fan of beatboxing? Pharrell. Yep. Here he is praising Michael's abilities in some rare documentary footage that I found on YouTube.
I think the best beatboxer I've ever heard in my life is probably Micheal Jackson.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is his sound like?
You gotta go online and look at the Oprah special.
So when you hear Get You Bling like them Neptunes sounds, just know that Pharrell was probably doing a Mike impersonation.
Get you bling like the Neptune sound. Okay.
Sidebar. Pharrell also really wanted to work with Micheal Jackson. He even sent some demos over to try and get on the Invincible album, but Mike said he wanted something that sounded more like Super Thug. Can you imagine Micheal Jackson singing over Super Thug? Oddly enough, I can. You know why? Because Mike had that gangsta in it. What? And don't even get me started on the dancing. From pop locking to moonwalking, his dancing style was an evolution of LA's breakdancing scene. Yo, hold up, LA, why is breakdancing not in the Olympics for 2028? Please get it together, you have time, fix it. So, we have rapping, dancing, and beatboxing, which are three of hip hop's 5 pillars. All that he's missing is graffiti and DJing, and for all we know, he could have been painting murals over at Neverland Ranch or something. I bet you there's somebody out there somewhere that saw him drop a needle on a record. That's hip hop, all 5 pillars. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z also got him to pop out at Summer Jam. MJ, aka Pop Out a Show. That might have sounded nonchalant, but saying it was crazy ill is Jay-Z's version of being starstruck, and with good reason. Micheal Jackson is a larger-than-life, iconic superstar celebrity, which was a huge deal for both Hot 97 and Jay-Z, because Jay-Z is a big Micheal Jackson fan, and if you need proof, here he is on MTV talking about the first time he met Mike.
Really?
It's crazy ill. You came in on me like a shadow. Like ill. Then he just like, there's Mike. I don't know where he came from, yo. Where Mike came, I don't know. It's my word. I don't know where he came from. Yeah. He was in there working on a song that they had asked me to work on. And the song was incredible. And, you know, he just came in the room. I was like, what's up? It's like, what's up?
And just being in his presence was to breathe rarefied air. So please, stop comparing people to Micheal Jackson based on these new metrics. There will never be another Micheal Jackson. We had him. He's still here. In theory, idea, inspiration, aspiration. None of these is Micheal Jackson. But have you ever wondered who introduced Mike to Jay? To give us that Summer Jam moment? Did Mike ever hear those Neptunes demos that Pharrell tried to give him? Well, if you look at these unsolved mysteries, the man just outside of the frame is Rodney Jerkins, which makes him the perfect guest for this show. He can also speak to a few more of my burning questions, like who has the better rap alter ego, Brandy or Mary J. Blige? Was Whitney's math on It's Not Right about New Edition? And several more of my personal mysteries. All right, without further ado, take it away, Rodney. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Almanac of Rap, and today's guest is heavy, man. Listen. This man began his career as a prodigy at 15 when he was mentored by Teddy Riley and went on to produce for virtually everyone, including Michael, Janet, Whitney, Mariah, Beyonce, Brandy, and a gang of other people who are famous enough that I don't have to say their last name. And I just found out while researching this episode that he also was the supervising music producer for the show Empire, right?
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rodney Darkchild Jerkins.
My man.
It's good,
Thank
man.
You, brother.
I'm happy to have you here.
You said Michael. I don't know if it was Michael B. Jordan. I didn't know if it was Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? You said Janet. I don't know if it was Janet the boy. So I know which.
I mean, but it's still heavy enough that you know what I'm saying. It's the first name people. That's That's such
like
a
you
crazy.
Just know, right?
Yeah. Oh man, but like so, it's so much I want to get through with you. So I'm gonna just jump right into it. You know what I'm saying?
Let's get it.
As I mentioned before, you worked with a ton of legends. Your resume is heavy. I could have went on for at least 5 more minutes, straight up and down. But of all the people you worked with, I want to ask you if you've gotten any like advice from them, from some of these legends. So
listen, you coming into the game so early, I feel like advice was pretty much for every artist I worked with. You know, I was producing Patti LaBelle at 17 years old. So you talking about she's like the godmother when you're walking in the studio. So you listening to everything, not just from what they're saying, just even as you're producing, right? You're learning things when you're working with artists, even as you're producing, on how to handle situations. So working with a female artist is completely than working with a male artist, right? But I will say probably the most advice I would get was when I worked with Micheal Jackson. Because to me, it was like working with Micheal Jackson, I'm 21 years old, right? And here I'm working with this guy who sold millions of records, but what you gotta remember, he was a student of Berry Gordy. He was a student of Quincy Jones. He's worked with Teddy Riley. He's worked with so many greats that for me, it was like, I'm getting all of that. I'm getting all of them when I work with him.
Like in one session, like, cause he's been through, you got to him when he had been through a couple of eras. Yeah. Like he had been brought the moonwalk out. He did all types of things in his career, and by the time you got to him, it was just like, now you're downloading that information.
Yeah, and like simple things like knowing on the business side as a producer, songwriter, your number one asset is going to be the publishing.
Yeah.
As an artist, your number one asset is going to be your masters, right? And just hearing him kind of tell me stories about, did you know I own this song? Like the quote, and the funny thing, because we always talk about the Beatles, like Michael owned half a Sony ATV.
Yes.
Michael owned Going with the Wind. Did you know that?
I did not know that. But like his collection of things is wild. Like his collection of things is
hold on. He owned Little Richard's catalog and gave it back to him.
I said thank you.
That's beautiful.
Because Little Richard was struggling with finances.
Somebody told me you went to Michael Jackson's house recently?
He wouldn't let Mark in. I had Mark with me, Mark Harlan from Dayton, Ohio. He didn't let Mark in. So.
He didn't let him in?
No, Mark had to stay in the car. Michael, I love you. I'm just only telling the truth. I'll be back out there tomorrow.
So Mike was like, nah, let me get that back to Little Richard.
Yo, Mike
Come on, bro. Like there's no one can tell me anything different when a GOAT conversation takes place.
Shut up.
I can't listen. I can't hear anything else because to know what that man has done for everyone, for all of us.
Yeah. We're going to get back to Mike in about 3 names. But one person I wanted to know, all right, so what's one lesson you learned from working with Brandy?
Oh, I think what I learned from Brandy, how important the vocals are when you're crafting a record as a producer, right? So working with Brandy let me know her voice is an instrument.
Yeah.
Like literally, like if I could play a string line on a keyboard, it would be her voice.
Yeah, she could chase whatever you played too, like
whatever.
Like exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I had to learn, like what I learned when working with Brandy was how important when I'm panning my vocals, how important that is to in the balancing of. And how important it all has to fit within the scope of the production.
Yeah.
And I learned that from working with Brandy, right? I was doing records before Brandy, but when I worked with Brandy, that's when I learned how important those vocals really are and what it means to have layers of vocals that when you're doing backgrounds and your layers are breathy, airy, versus hard and full and warm, right? And putting those two worlds together to make that sound you want.
So because you started out when it was just mixing by ear, producing by ear, and now it's like visual. Like you can kind of see waveforms and see like the EQ and stuff.
Correct.
But I would imagine knowing how to like you probably have this like highly attuned sense of sound that like I would imagine like those Brandy sessions sharpened it like crazy.
100%. Yeah, definitely like made me every step made me better working with Brandy on not just Never Say Never, even Full Moon, because that was another project that was the second time we worked together, and it was like you're elevating, right? You're elevating as a producer, she's elevating as an artist, and that's why you get such a great product.
Yep. I've been walking around singing Full Moon all day. Just because I knew I was going to sit with you. That's just like one of the signature songs. All right, another one, Whitney. Gotta ask what you learned from working with Whitney.
Whitney, I think what I learned with Whitney was it's okay to be in the music industry and love God, right? Because I think like, you know, I'm a pastor's kid, right? So a lot of times, the PK, so a lot of times, you know, you get that thing where it's like, oh, you know what, you ain't nothing but the devil. You know what I mean? You doing that devil music, you know what I mean? And it's like, so, okay, so I can't talk to God anymore? I can't have a personal relationship myself with God because I just made a song with Mary J or whoever. And then Whitney, I work with Whitney and I'm like seeing her and she's full on like, I mean, she pretty much like this in the session, praying and all that. I'm like, man, like her faith was so strong. I'm like, okay, cool, it's okay.
Yeah, I was wondering how you navigated those two worlds because I know you were like as a preacher's kid, you were brought up in it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So like, and the music industry is notoriously like godless in a weird way, because the business kind of takes the soul out of it in some ways. But
that's right.
I think it's really interesting and fascinating that you not only navigated it, but you navigated successfully, and you also kept your spirituality and your religion, your faith in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and continue to. I think that's the biggest part. Is like it's one thing to have it in your beginning years, but you know, and if you fall off, it's not easy to just get back in it. So me, I've tried to maintain it as much as I can. You know, it hasn't been perfect, it's been rocky, but I've been trying to at least have that balance throughout my career.
Okay. All right. I want to do one more. I might do two more. I just got to get these. Mary J. Blige.
Mary, it's like a sister, you know what I mean? Like at this point, we worked together for so long, so many years, and we share so many great stories. she might be the realest artist that I've ever worked with. And what I mean realist is like, if something she don't like, she just gonna tell you, right? It ain't no like,
that's that
it
Brooklyn.
it ain't no sugarcoat with Mary. She gonna be like, nah, that's whack, homie, nah. Like you like, dang, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just real with her. But that's what I love about her. Like she's always been that way. There's nothing about her that changed in that way. She's always gonna keep it 100 about everything she does.
Like, not to tell your stories for you, but the story about how you brought the music to her for the Share My World album, and like you were sitting in that waiting room waiting with everybody playing that shit, and when you played her, she was just like,
she went crazy. She wouldn't let me leave the city. I was only coming up there just to play the music, and she went crazy. Next thing you know, the next day we're at Giant Studios writing I Can Love You. You know what I mean? And stayed the rest of the week and just Share My World. And the next thing you know, and it went to the next song and the next song. We created this rhythm, and just like, that's just Mary.
That had to be a wild feeling, but I will tell you this. Literally everybody that pressed play on that CD had that exact same reaction to that exact same song.
That's funny.
And it still goes. Like
crazy.
When I'm out DJing, drop that. The
That's
whole room
crazy.
erupts, man. It still goes.
That's crazy. You know what crazy? It just takes me back though. Like now, like even the create. I remember sitting in this. A friend of mine, his brother had a clothing store on Main Street in Pleasantville, New Jersey, and he was a DJ. His name was DJ Do It All, and he had turntables set up in the back.
Not Do It All from Lords of the Underground.
Nah.
Okay.
And he had turntables in the back of the store, right?
Yeah.
And he would just I'll be sitting in the store for hours, and he'd just be playing records, and I'd be like, oh, that'd be a dope joint to flip, that'd be a dope record to flip, da-da-da. And then one day he played the Little Kim record, and I was like, yo! And I didn't realize that I had it. And then when I got the call from Mary, that's when it just was like, this is I'm gonna do this one for her.
Yeah, you killed that.
Thanks, man.
Last name, the last set of names rather, Destiny's Child, including Beyonce, because that is her group.
Whew, man. My first song I ever did with Destiny's Child, to me, is still my favorite song that I've ever worked on.
Say My Name?
Say My Name. Like, I think it's anthemic. I think it's a song that, changed a lot of our lives.
Yeah.
And working with, it's funny because I got the chance to work with Beyonce, think about it, in a group form. And then Beyonce, when I worked with her and Jay-Z on Deja Vu, it's in her solo I'm here form as a solo artist, right? So it's like, people don't realize that she came into her own in between that time.
How you feel being back in the studio with Darkchild?
I'm very excited because it's been a long time, and we go way back.
Way back, 99.
Way back.
We go back to 99.
Darkchild 99.
Right.
So I seen two different stages of Beyonce. I seen Beyonce in the making of Beyonce.
That's crazy. I never thought about that. Like, what was the through line? Was there anything you noticed like that? It kind of like not changed in a bad way, but
big
just kind of
time.
like
we knew she was a standout, right? We knew she was standout, but she also was just like humble in her approach in the studios, and she just coming in to get the song done with the group. But when we did Deja Vu, like, she clearly, the vision, the visuals, everything was ahead of time. Like, she's sitting there and I want to do this. This is the kind of song I want to do. This is the kind of dance I want to create. She's telling us everything before we're creating the song. So she's very clear with the direction. Probably the closest I would compare her to was Mike. Because there's just that
I can see it.
Like locked in.
I can see it. Based on the trajectory of her career, the music she's made, and the things she's done. Like, when you think of Beyonce, you think of like just consummate, like performer, artist, producer, everything.
Yeah,
so like, I can see that.
And not just on a whim, like strategy. Like sitting down, like, when you want to create a good business, you need to have a good business plan, right? That's why I felt like she saw herself as a business at some point, and she was like, okay, everything I do now from here on, I have to do a strategy. I have to have a strategy with it, right? I'm not just going to make a record just because. Nah, I'm going to make this record because I'm going to make people respect us in this genre. Yeah. So now you got other artists now in the country space getting signed that may not have gotten a deal before.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
because she took it and said, let me stand out with this.
She shined the light on it.
Let me bring y'all in, right? And she'll probably do it again and again.
We'll wait and see, because I mean, I'm sure it'll happen again. But I want to get back to somebody you were talking about, Micheal Jackson. Listen, man, So the question, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but the question I have for you, I wrote this elaborate long question about how in your business songs get pitched and released and moved around for artists all the time. But rumor has it that, I'm gonna get straight to it. Rumor has it that the Neptunes stuff, the stuff that the Neptunes gave to Justin for Justified was meant for Micheal Jackson.
Facts.
And you were working with Micheal Jackson around that same time on Invincible, right? Did you get to hear the stuff that, like, did you get to hear those demos? Did Mike ever hear them and turn them down?
Pharrell gave me the demos to play to play for Michael. Pharrell called me up and said, "Yo, you really working with Mike?" I said, "Yeah, bro, I'm working with Michael." Yo, please, can I give you a CD? I said, "Yeah, I got you." He gave me the CD. I gave Mike the CD to listen to. I'm the one that gave it to Michael to listen to.
What did Michael say? Like, what did he say when he heard it?
He felt it was too generic at the time.
The meeting was supposed to be for us to meet to talk about music. Now remember, the songs he turned down, I don't think he realized that I was gonna give those songs to Justin. I'm going back in time for a second. So we're in the studio with Justin, and they were like, "Listen, you got a phone call on line 1. I'm like, "Yeah, what was it? That's Micheal Jackson." I'm like, "Man, get out of here." And I'm thinking like, it's one of my friends calling from Virginia trying to be funny. They were like, "Listen, please pick up the phone, it's Micheal Jackson." I'm like, "Man, hello." And I'm thinking it's my friend. And I heard someone eating popcorn in my ear, and that's how I knew it was him. He's just the king. He's just the king of trolling. He's the king, like I think he invented it. So he's like, "Hey," he's like, "How are you? What are you doing?" "Okay." "You working with Justin?" "Oh, that's really nice. That's great. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Well, you guys have a great session. Tell Justin I said hello." Hangs up. And Justin was like, "Who is that, Michael?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "How did you know?" He's like, "Yeah, man, he does that."
When I say the word generic, Michael, what made Mike tick is when he hears sounds that no one else uses.
Yeah.
I had to learn that, right? Because he used that same phrase even with me. Like I would play him, I would think was the hottest joint. He'd be like, "It's too generic." And then as I start to work with him, I'm like, okay, so the normal bass sound that I would use, I need to take and sample a motorcycle, revving up, and incorporating that into the bass somehow. And then he's like this. then it becomes interesting to him.
Yeah.
If that's not the interest, if he doesn't hear anything that has ear candy that's really different, he's not gonna really rock with it.
Because you got to think, Mike has heard every sound under the sun. He's been doing it since it's been being done. You know what I'm saying? So for him, it's not just a snare. It's like, okay, that frequency. I need something that hits something else.
100%.
So in working with Michael, you probably had to find all kinds of crazy sounds.
You have no idea. I spent hours in the junkyard with my cousin.
Yeah,
Mike told me to go to the junkyard and hit things, and I'm going to the junkyard. We hitting things and sampling things. I never been in New York City, and me and Michael was together in New York City going through the city, and there was this like crane sound. It was like coming down, and Michael heard and said, "I need you to sample that." And I'm like, on the way to the studio, I had to go borrow a Sony digital recording DAT machine from the studio, go back to that location, hopefully they're still there, and sample that sound.
That is
crazy. He was all about, I remember one time I was doing a song doing an idea with him rather, and he said he wanted it to sound like electricity. And I'm like, well, where we gonna get that from?
What? Go ahead, my bad.
You know, like, well, like, how electricity? Like, what we gonna do? Shots? Like, how we gonna do that? And I had to imagine things. I had to go in. I remember I took a light bulb, one of my favorite snares, and my engineer at the time, Jean-Marie Horvat, he can vouch for this. We took a light bulb and bust that joint and put it on with the snare, and it just gave us this like sound. It was like a pop sound, man.
Dog, that gave me chills in a way. Like I had a follow-up question, but like just hearing it, I was like, oh my God. This is, because I'm imagining.
So what I'm saying is, if we go back, if I would have just hopped on the drum set and just started playing, he wouldn't have messed with that.
Yeah.
He would have been like, nah, I did that with Billie Jean. That's what he would have said. He would have said that. I did that with Billie Jean. Like, because Mike was an inventor. In his mind, he thought he was, he was all about invention. So it was like, go invent some things, go make some things sound like, he said it to me. He said, I'm so sick and tired of these primitive drum machines That's what he said to me, and I was like, "Oh, you know, I'm on the NPC.
And you out here with the
I'm
MP.
on my NPC while he telling me this, bro. I'm like, you ain't got this one, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But all right, so another thing people might not know about Michael Jackson is he was a huge hip hop fan.
Big time.
Big time. So my
Big
question,
Biggie fan.
Big Biggie fan. I was going to ask you.
Fan. Oh,
I was going to ask you.
You know I got Biggie on the record, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Biggie,
I didn't know that was you that got him on the record.
Well, he passed away. He was going, and Michael comes in the studio one day. He's like, I'm playing. We're doing a song Unbreakable. He's like, I hear. He's like, Rodney. I was like, yeah, man. He's like, I said, you know what I hear? I said, what? I said, okay. He's like, we need Biggie on this. Biggie's gone. And crazy thing, man, crazy. A long time ago, I met Big when I was with him and Shaq in Orlando when Big did Can't Stop the Rain. And I had the acapella from when he did that with Shaq. And I was like, hold on, let me throw this on there and see what it feel like. And I put it on there, and Mike went crazy. Mike went crazy. He was like, you did it. You got Yeah, you have no idea, but Mike, he loved Big, he loved 50, he loved hip hop.
So, first of all, you were in the studio with Shaq and Biggie when they did that joint?
I was with him. I was right there with him.
What was that session like? Because my question about that, this is a total tangent, is that Shaq was like a beast on the court.
I'm gonna show you that day when we get done. I got the picture of that day. But go ahead.
Shaq was like you keep blowing my mind. Shaq was like a beast on the court.
Yeah.
But he also had this like legacy in hip hop, like with the Fushnickens and all these people. So like he was also a wordsmith, but like I don't think anybody really
was.
Yeah, like I think people discounted his rapping in favor of his basketball playing.
I mean, they always do though. But he took it serious. That's one thing I will say when I worked with Shaq.
What's up, Doc? Can we rock? What's up, Doc?
I'm the hooper, hyper, protective vibe viper. When I'm out the hooping, yo, you better decipher.
Shaq took it serious. It wasn't a thing like, you know, he loved hip hop.
Yeah.
He's from the bricks. He's from North, and he loved hip hop. And it wasn't just it wasn't like a thing where, you know, oh, I'm gonna just do a rap record because they tell you like, you know, sports and music work well together. Nah, he really loved hip hop.
He was doing it because he loved it. Yeah.
He really. I'm surprised. Honestly, I'm surprised that he doesn't have like a full-on hip hop label signing hip hop artists. Like I would have thought that would have been the after effect of everything. Like when he's done with basketball, I thought like Shaq would probably still keep his music company and really lock into hip hop artists. Because you know he had Lord Tariq and Peter Guns. They were signed to Shaq.
I did not. Wait, you mean Uptown Baby?
They were signed.
Uptown
Yes,
Baby?
that was on.
Shaq released that.
That was on Shaq's label, Twism.
Doug. So I knew Twism was like a clothing brand. I didn't know it was a label.
So think about this. He's winning championships. He's got he's still the only basketball player that went like double or triple platinum as a basketball player rapper. And then he got the biggest song of the summer when that joint came out, Deja Vu. That came out, that was the biggest song that was an anthem for us.
It was huge.
And they were his artists signed to him.
Did not know that. But he did just put the joint You Can't Stop the Rain back on streaming. That just hit on streaming.
Oh, that's fire. That joint hard.
So you never know. He might have a label coming.
Hey, you never know.
So you said Mike was a fan of 50, a fan of Biggie. Like, were you putting him on?
So let me give you the greatest thing. I never told anybody this. So you remember when Michael was brought up on stage by Jay-Z? Y'all remember that?
I remember this.
Oh,
I remember it so much. This is a question I was going to ask you. Let's go.
Who you think introduced Jay-Z to Michael?
You.
There you go.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I was looking at the timeline.
So I get the call from my man Big Chuck, who's from Brooklyn, and Big John, the publisher that he's now the CEO of Sony 8TV, and they were like, "Yo, Jay really want to meet Michael. Can you make that happen?" I was like, "I got you." So I brought him up to the studio, took him to meet Michael. That was the most humble I ever seen Jay-Z in my life. Like I never like for real. Like he can vouch for it. He had to feel a little bit intimidated. I know Jay to be so cool and just so, and you could tell it was just like it was a different thing when he got with Mike.
Cause Mike, I mean my man, not Mike. Jay-Z is like, he's been Jay-Z the whole time, but Michael has been. If Jay-Z is like a satellite, Michael is like the solar system. He's the thing that makes the satellite orbit.
When I introduced Brandy to Michael, Brandy passed out on the floor. No joke. She fell out on the floor.
I don't blame her.
Fell out. Fell out. Yeah, Mike's presence is definitely, his aura was definitely different.
Yeah, so that was that question. That was literally what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Like, did you know that he was going to go to Summer Jam?
I hooked it up. I hooked him up with Jay, and it turned into that, and which was unbelievable. And I remember Michael being on the phone, asked me, "Should I do it?" I was like, "Absolutely, absolutely."
That really rocked the world. Like I know the song has rocked my world, but that really rocked the world,
Absolutely.
the hip hop world.
Absolutely.
I mean, so you and Mike were homies. Y'all were close. What's the most people would think when they saw him? What's the most celebrity famous world stopping shit you ever saw Michael do? Because they would stop TV to show his videos. He was like famous to the point where he's just like Michael.
Yeah, and I think a couple of times. I think one thing was when he shut down, when he took us to Virgin Mega Music Store in Times Square. It was closing at midnight, and he made them keep it open for us or whatever. That was crazy. I remember one time City Walk, Universal Studios in California has a place called City Walk.
Yeah.
And he shut down the whole City Walk for just us. It was me and my team and him literally at City Walk.
That's crazy.
Like I've seen, yeah, he's definitely done some things where I'm like, dang, this dude's different.
Yeah, he's like superhuman, man.
Yeah, it's
like Michael is just a different
Yeah,
thing.
it's
He's
just-
an entity unto
Yeah,
himself.
it's just different.
We could talk about Michael literally for
Yeah,
hours. So let's
for days.
I want to move on real quick. I got I got a question about two artists you work with. Brandy and Mary J. Blige. They both have rap alter ego.
Through life lessons, I've learned my blessings is from the essence. Manifesting was destined, no pressure, a second guessing.
You know about this. You work with.
I just recorded Brooklyn recently.
She's still barring out.
My karma, Adam watered them commas, acting up like wanna, act cute if you wanna.
Oh, she's still barring out. She just put out a new joint.
She did?
Yeah, I think she got a joint rapping.
That's dope. That's dope.
And then Brandy is B Rocka, who she hasn't really put that out there, but she's rapped on that show Queens, I think. She played a rapper. She also has like some YouTube video stuff.
Yeah.
My question is, in the spirit of the verses that we all loved and enjoyed, who do you think is the better rapper between B Rocka and Brooklyn?
Oh man, well, I'll give you.
You don't have to answer the question, but I just have to ask the question. You can plead the fifth. You can say nobody's the better rapper.
It's different because I feel like Brandy is more poetic. Like when she writes, she comes from more of a poetic standpoint.
Yep.
Right? And then Mary's just more street with it.
Yep.
Right? So I don't know. That's a tough one.
It's
I got
just
50-50 with that one.
It's different vibes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary is like, I would say in my summation of it, Mary is more feel. Like she's more like, and Brandy is just like you were saying, it's technical with the pen.
Yeah.
Like I love Brandy as a rapper though.
Yeah.
Like
Brandy be freestyling too though. Like a lot of times she be in the studio, she would literally be freestyling like, what? Like I didn't know you could freestyle.
Like freestyle rapping?
Yeah, she just be freestyling going off the top. You be going off the top.
Is she nice?
She cool.
Brandy, we need you to come to the show and rap.
She cool.
Oh man. All right. So another kind of random question I had is that Raphael Sadiq was at a show recently and he said that Just Me and You, the song Just Me and You, and he's like, you know the song I'm talking about? He's like, don't worry about, baby, don't worry about. He said the names he was saying on that song are the names of New Edition because he's like, I'm notoriously a bad chorus writer, so I just threw those names in because it was the first thing on my mind. My question for you is, on Whitney Is Just Not Right, I think that is right.
It's not right, but it's good, yeah.
Was the math she was doing about New Edition?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
When you say New Edition, you mean New Edition as in Bobby?
Like not Bobby specifically, but like you know how she's like, it was 6 of y'all that went out to eat.
If 6 of y'all went out,
2 of y'all paid for dinner.
cause only 2 of you had dinner.
Like in my mind, I was like, does this kind of add up?
Yo, that's really crazy. You just gave me a whole, man, that's crazy. I never looked at it like that. That's crazy. No, it wasn't about that.
Okay.
But that's crazy that you thought that, though.
It literally, like, so it became a meme where people was like, just like doing like Whitney math on TikTok. And I was sitting there like, was this New Edition? Like it just added up. But I think you're right. But I know you're right because you're you. But it's only 5 members in New Edition. It was only 5 members and she was like 6 people. So I was like, maybe
it was 5. Then they add one though. Like it's 5 originally, but then
Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, and then that was Ralph that said it. Then they added Johnny. So that's 6 people.
That's 6, bro. You can go with that story.
Let's go with it. Let's run with it.
It works.
It's stamped. All right. Another kind of random cool thing that happened to some of your music is that Tamia's Just Can't Get Enough has a line dance to it, which is literally the ultimate stamp of blackness. Like that shit is in the history books forever. Can you do the line dance? I'm not asking you to do it.
I can't do the line dance, and I won't attempt to do the line dance. But I was just on the phone with Tamia, like I'm about to work with her again, and we were talking about that. Like, yo, it's crazy how you do a song and then it just resurges out. Like every black college has taken that record and just owned it.
Like I'm trying to figure out the origins of the line dance and why it's so complicated.
Listen,
that is
when you figure it out, you let me know.
Like I don't have 2 left feet by any means. I can cut a rug, but that shit is
you
too
let
much.
me know.
Yeah. All right, and the last one. This is not a random question. This is more about songwriting. Do you think that rap will ever move beyond calling songwriting ghostwriting? Like, you know how like in rap, if somebody, it's been happening throughout the history of hip hop. Like the message, I forget who wrote that. Somebody wrote on that song too, but and even Sugar Hill Gang, it's always been happening.
I don't really know that any rapper. I'm just speaking. I don't know any rapper that has been in a session or made a full album where they wrote 100% of their raps. And the only reason why I say it is because if your homie's on the side,
yep,
and he hears something, he's like, yo, that'd be crazy if you would have said this. Yep. Oh yeah, you're right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just the way it works. It's always been that. It's always been about. It was never about the solo, but it's about the crew of it.
Yeah.
The crews came together and they just throwing out a bar here or even a word, whatever it is. So to me, I don't know. I think they just took it a little bit too far with that whole thing.
They do. It's like a rumor has it that Kanye would give, if the pizza man showed up, he's like, you get 1% of the song just because you saw it happening. Like, because it's just that thing where it gets litigious. Litigious. People start suing at a certain point. They're like, I was in the room, I helped with this, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I think that I really wish hip hop would start accepting songwriting and stop being all like ghostwriter.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, like, you know, telling someone that they didn't, you know, write that song when they wrote like 95% of the song.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's called input. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's very rare in our industry. It's very rare that you will find someone who does 100% of everything.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Babyface, maybe Kenny, and even now he doesn't do it. But back in the day, he did. Right? It's just very rare. It's just very rare. You know what I mean? So.
Well, moving on, another thing you've innovated is producer tags. You were one of the first people to have that Darkchild. And you would even say the year sometimes. And then it evolved to people, the artist just sang it for you. Do you have any favorite producer tags from other people? Like, do you hear producer tags now and be like, that's a hot one, that's a cool one?
Yeah, I mean, I like Hitmakers because it's real.
Hitmakers?
Yeah,
That's fun.
It's fun and it's quick and it's cool. I like Mustards. I'm always like his. You know, yeah. There's some cool tags out there, but mine I think is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, yours is.
Yeah,
I mean, yours.
Because when you get, it's one thing like when I was doing it, I got tired of doing it, and then every artist would come in the studio.
You tried to stop doing it?
Well,
you tried to phase it out?
I just feel like people know my songs. They know the song with the tag where it's different. Like, there's certain songs that's out now, and you know the song, and you don't the tag don't really matter to the song.
Yeah.
But everybody knows Darkchild 99. You know when you hear that, Say My Name is coming on. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's part of the song. So I feel like when I got tired of doing it, artists would come in the studio. Tony Braxton, she sang Darkchild. You know what I mean? Whitney Houston, she's Dark. She said, I don't have to. They just want to say it.
It was just like a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah,
like
when I worked with her on her last album, we did a song called Exhausted. She's like, she was so excited to say Darkchild, bro. Like, as soon as she walked in the booth, she said it. Like, you know what I mean? I don't even have to say it anymore because the artists all say it now.
That's got to feel kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
definitely.
to have not only a signature sound, but evoke a feeling from the artist you work with. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to be like, I'm working with Darkchild. It's another thing to be like verbally like excited, like Darkchild 99,
Yeah.
Darkchild 24. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
I just did my version of your tag, right?
Yeah, you got
Darkchild 24. We got Darkchild on the show.
I love that.
All right. Moving further into your production catalog, you use the MPC. MPC is like famously like a hip hop tool. what producers did you study, and are you a fan of any producers that more so, what producers did you study?
I think from a hip hop perspective, there was so many, from Marley Marl to DJ Premier. Probably one of my favorites, listening, not studying, but just like loving to listen, would be probably Easy Mo B.
My God!
I think it was always Easy Mo B and Pete Rock for me, like back and forth. And when I heard the stuff that Easy Mo B was doing with Craig Mack and Big, I was just like, yo, his frequencies was different. Now he was on the SP 1200.
Okay.
But the frequencies, the way he was chopping stuff and the way he was using it, I ain't have really heard that in hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Pete Rock, the way he did his stuff, you know, still does his stuff is just amazing to me. As an MPC head, to me it's always about the shifting, the swing of it. Mm-hmm. So I was always looking and listening to music, to other producers, and see what type of bounce they was giving you with the shifts. Like Q-Tip, the way he shifts his drums.
Yeah.
Real dope. You know what I'm saying? So
huge Q-Tip fan.
Yeah, he's another one that discovered me real early on.
He has a lot of like stories behind the scenes of just like just pushing people in, ushering them in, and not really.
He wanted to sign me. He met me. I was literally in Sam Ash in New York at like 14 years old. He came over. I was playing the piano. He came over. He's like, "Yo, what's your name? Da 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 da. You sign anybody?" Like I was young, you know. The Q-Tip is dope, man.
Probably has championed you their whole career, because he's one of those people that just like he's the type of person that'll speak your name in a room that needs to be spoken.
Probably so, yeah. He's dope, man. Like I love it when you don't really have to talk about yourself and others can talk about you.
Yeah.
Like I love Rockwilder, right? Rockwilder always shows so much love and respect.
Jersey.
And, it's Jersey, and you know, and Eric Sermon. There's so many great hip hop producers that like. We MP heads, so we can talk about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like when we talk on the phones, like it always goes back to that. Yo, the way you shifted your drums with it, like, you know what I mean? Like that's our conversation.
So like the funny thing is you mentioned Marley Marl, and you talked about Easy Mo B, and you talked about his like frequencies and stuff. Like when I listen to your beats and his beats, I think the same way. Like he would kind of invent sounds. Like he would manipulate sound in a way like you wouldn't really
that boom on that Craig Mack, like that, like what is that? Like still, like Michael used to always tell me, like, you want people to say what is that, right? If you can get someone to say what is that, then you're doing something innovative, right? And Easy Mo B is someone to me that could have cracked the mic code.
Yeah. That's,
you know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
what I was. Yeah.
He could have cracked the Michael code because he was innovative enough to find those interesting sounds that weren't the typical generic things. They weren't right in that box. You gotta remember, a lot of people just use a lot of the same, like how you have plugins now. There was a lot of the same box. JV 2080, JV 1080, the Roland D50. A lot of it was the same. He was able to find like sounds that would make us be like, oh, that's different. That's interesting.
Yeah, and they touched us in a different way.
Yeah.
Do you still make beat tapes?
Nah, I might need to though.
Not in the same way?
Nah.
Yeah,
I might need to. I might need to go back and do that.
I think it would be fun. I think you should.
Yeah.
I think you should. Just because like when I listened to like a couple of like your demos and stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like some of the early beats, man.
Yeah.
I just would be interested to see what you would do.
Yeah.
Especially with your new mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's a good idea.
We coming to the end. Are there any like new artists you have that are exciting to you?
Oh yeah, so I have this label I just started called Alienz Alive.
Alienz Alive.
Yeah, and mainly hip hop on there, but I have we have 6 artists on the label: Gavi, John Keith, Aha Gazelle, TJ Carroll, I Am Rescued, IMRSQD, and then Alex Jean.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited we just launched this label, and I'm just super excited about the artist that's on this label. We got a really dope single right now out with Alex Jean and also TJ Carroll, and we got more music coming from all the other artists. So I'm just super excited about that, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear it too. And like I know you just put out you put out something in Web3 called the Culture Tape.
Yeah.
And I know about it because my homegirl Asia Vu is on
Asia
there.
Vu.
Shout out to Sunny Side Up.
Sunny Side Up. That's the record.
Jam.
Yes.
But before we get out of here, man, I just got one more question. What advice would you give? Not even what advice would you give. I'm sorry. I usually ask people what advice would they give, but I want to ask you to tell me advice for a person trying to like maintain spirituality in a business that seems soulless?
Yeah, I think that it's never even split, right? So if you're trying to have balance, and you're like, I want to have balance in my life, and I want to have my spiritual side be 50, and then my business side be 50. It's never worked that way. God is always above all. Always got to be first. Everything else is in second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, last place.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not an even split. So you have to. So it's the way you have to look at it is like, if you want to have spiritual and you want to have business, then the spiritual side got to be 100%, and then the business just happens.
There it is, spiritual 100%, and the business just happens.
Yeah.
Rodney, Darkchild, my man, thank you so much for sitting with me.
Yes, sir.
Darkchild 24.
I'm gonna use it though. Right. I'm gonna use that.
Once again, shout out to our guest Rodney Jerkins for stopping by and clearing up those mysteries for me. And feel free to start the rumor that Whitney was using New Edition to do the math on It's Not Right. I'd appreciate it. But be sure to check out Alienz Alive to see what Rodney's got cooking. And that's it for this week. But you should already know by now, stick around for the bonus content after the credits. The Almanac of Rap was created, hosted, and written by me, Donwill. The show's executive producers are Donwill and Isha Sesay. The show was produced and directed by Travis Harris. Hassan Spruill is the assistant producer. The show was edited by Kobina Baffour. The camera operators are Travis Harris, Kaushik Kalidindi, Melissa Bunny Elian, and Kobina Baffour. Art direction was handled by Kaushik Kalidindi. Graphic design by Crystal Simone. The technical director is Compton Timberwolf. Music production was handled by Von P. Rihanna Harris is the production assistant. All right, y'all still there? Cool. Do you remember Michael Trapson? He was hands down the strangest Michael Jackson impersonator ever. Come on, man, get it together. No, that's corny, I know. All right, see you guys next week on the Almanac of Rap.